court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the murder. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner. Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trials of civilization. Trails. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know. You're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind call it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I never heard judge words described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner? What do you mean? A desperado's soul is boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone arcade. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day. That ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remembered right, I was at the street-side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time to hit the trail. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses, now don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Okay. Bone orchid. How exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room? Just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's so still. Even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. You interred them. Videos of nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I erased a tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life. Sky has a flair for the dramatic, but isn't going to do him any good. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. Said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Oh, wait. Forgot we were at the back of the cross-examination. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? Told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way. No desperados I know join the police force. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, just between you and me, I didn't step foot in the evidence room that day. There's a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner. Can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? You used to be a detective, so you used the evidence room in this past, correct? Of course, back in the day, my locker was a gold mine in evidence. And yet, you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism. Sorry, partner. I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. That's quite incredible. Sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that too. At any rate, this does. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? Alright, I was at the Street Side Saloon. What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Not even Angel steak lunches can beat that parlor's Vongo Seppai pasta? Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, "Did you not want to raise this year?" It's an innocent traveling man. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's right, partner. Or as you call it, evidence. You plan to pin me to this crime, then you better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. The steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible regarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. Apparently, your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I best keep my cool. Before I use it though, I better up the ante. I don't know if we present the fingerprint evidence yet or not. Okay. If I present this, where would I present it at? Here? Okay. We're trying to understand through his gibberish. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this. After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. To be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, Miss Officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what is the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime of the scene. The crime scene. What did he say? The blood was wiped away, however. A liminal test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall, seems to me there ain't a person in this room with the head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? About the blood-stained fingerprints. Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints, found at the scene of the crime. Okay. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the bloodstained handprint. The murder touched the locker room, and her fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy is hiding something, I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Okay, let's just start pressing. That's because you, how do you put it, pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. And that's one, and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. The locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still used. All that's in there now. Now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see it. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. So then, what about the bloody handprint? Wasn't mine. It's no mystery. Please explain. My locker has covered my fingerprints. It just so happened. Chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. Chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? Unrelated. They're as different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast, while the other's a type of murder. He's right. Although, seemingly alike, they're totally different. Don't see what homonymous have to do with this. Never heard that phrase. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a blood stain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found in the Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. It's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? Seal blood. In a desert, it's just food for buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. Security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. It wasn't me in that video. Press this. What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots. Places you can't see. The camera is panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Very well, Mr. Wright. If you could show us evidence that in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. In the video? Shoot. Let me watch it. Maybe we could see if his locker was opened at some point. Oh my god, I wish I could just speed through it. This is like one of those in the end, I think. Those lights aren't on. Light's still not on. Still not on. Oh, the thing's sticking out. Oh wait, it just replayed. It just disappeared. I saw it. Okay, wait. It disappeared when it started replaying. Yes. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Shows the incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall. Hey, fast forward. Dig up! There, how's that for evidence? Please allow me to apologize for my colleague, Your Honor. Gets carried away sometimes. Yes, well, this certainly isn't a first time. Forgive him too, Officer Marshall. He's not a bad man, just a bit disillusioned. Oh, maybe I have to click on the sheet. Of course, I'm not one to gun down unarmed boys. Oh, great. Now Edgeworth is defending me. Dang it. Am I on it? Bring our attention back to the security camera. It's a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon forget, Officer Marshall. There we go. Days in Texas are short in Texas, and so are tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly see in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in this video. That locker, with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Oh, the white cloth, it's gone. What's the meaning of this, Miss Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order, order. It would seem that this... Oh, hold your horses. Sorry, partner. But you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah, I call your bluff. You say open that locker. Now prove it. I'll pay him. Fingerprint sensor? We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. Okay, so the locks are that obvious. There are even some people in the force who don't know about it. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? What the heck is that? I only got one word for you, partner. No! Order, order, order. Witness, explain yourself. This is a joke. It's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Ole? Ole? Please answer the question. What is he now? A bullfighter? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can? Have a look at these floor plans. There is no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then, where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right. The only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? Whoop. Officer Marshall was standing right here. There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you, dressed up like Detective Goodman. That's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw that man's face, he knew for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. I asked him to show his ID card. He's only pulled a knife out of me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that his cover would have been blown, Officer Meekins would have realized that the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? I was so distracted by him chewing on that, whatever it is. I don't know what that is. Got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. See the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. This can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics. For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. I'm thinking outside of the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. Rather, I should look for evidence that came about, because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later. Shades, he did originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as a Detective Goodman at the time of the crime, and after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Very well. Let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker and put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker. Coming. Ah! I missed it! No! I did it too fast. Sorry, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodwin and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what yet. What? Yet. However, something unexpected happened. Oh, I did get it. Okay, good. Officer Meekins barged in on you. Then, when asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody coat? You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Okay, I got it, thank God. I thought I missed it. Now then, Officer Marshall. Are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. Alright. Seems the time has come. I had to do it that day. I just couldn't stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. I managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So, the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? SO9 incident. 2 years has passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. Incident's not over yet. What did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? The case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what it cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why. Press. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. Stole that the morning of the evidence. So that really it was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report. Return his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean, the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that lock for yourself. He could because the rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. I managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. Oh wait. Feeling we'll wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to the case. Take a little look at the files. I didn't realize we were back at the testimony. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off. Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person. Secondly, a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his race this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me, and I ended up cutting him slightly. Sorry it had to turn out that way. With me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked Officer Meekins out and... Oh, wait. So, you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. Security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat and struggled with Officer Meekins. Someone was in the security room when I came out. The joke would have been up. Okay. It stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So, what you're saying is on that day... The blood found in the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from that locker. Actually, no I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, let me ask you one thing. Far away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer. This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself, so will have serious consequences. You can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. I'll do anything it takes to get an answer. Answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. Can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember that Joe Dark case. It involved serial murderers, didn't it? I don't know. I don't intend to complain about how it turned out. Oh, excuse me. But there's something that still bothers me. Something went down on that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved in here is related some way to that case. We're gonna take another look at the files. Guess we present the files. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. And a list of murdered victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall. Yeah, I'm sure you heard that. You've heard the name. 2 years ago. Ooh. He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. Now remember, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right, he was killed. The case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. Oh, he looks so sad. He was investigating the murders of Damon Gant, the then Deputy Chief of Police. A group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Ooh. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it. That's your reason for your insane actions. There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. Things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time, the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance. It's gotta be more than just that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Alana Sky. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of simultaneous murder at the police department. Seems to me, this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries at the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. A sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Sky. Testimony of one in Miss Angel Star is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. Aye. I rest my case. Seems the trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time. Disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake, but I didn't realize. I am proving I am guilty. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant. Emma! Your Honor, wait! Emma! Defense has an objection. A scientific objection, right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor. All I'm asking for is a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please? I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. Oh. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it. The names of both Sky sisters were in that file. That's when I figured it out. I mean, when Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So, I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing, the other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found in Detective Gumshoe's locker. But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So, did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry, guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad, I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. We can't find something wrong with them. Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone could save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright, with regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? Appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be more of a use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If ever I've needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with the handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? I object. I don't really know. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems to clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all the evidence there's gotta be something I can use. The evidence is, which item can prove something is missing from the floor plans? I totally zoned out the conversation. I have no idea what I just said. Oh, get back to today. I think I did it. Blue Badger. Oh my god, you're kidding. What about that piece of plywood? Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, the guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here. So, watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at the spot of the locker. What? So that means, just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found in that locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After you put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in. Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room. Blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. Oh, I didn't read the last part. I accidentally clicked. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found in the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us, when did this first incident occur? As Mr. Hedgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? Show when the first crime took place. Oops. What shows when the first crime took place? it could be that. It could be the log. It's the only thing I can think of. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. In order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card. Oh, the ID card record. Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. The crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Miles Edgeworth, what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. Doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. No buying getting it. Afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminal test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime scene was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and cleaned up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Look at the chart again. There's only one other card. Number remaining. 77777777. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? So there's no record of his card being used beforehand. He must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 77777777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 777777. That's 172 many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of the ID card, at least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 77777777 belongs to someone with the rank of a captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. But that's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. An official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your covered-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I'd appreciate it if you keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana. Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 777777. I'm not even saying the right numbers. Sevens, I don't even know. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident. Answer me this, Chief. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of prosecution for that trial. Ooh. I just went. I didn't read that. I looked away for 2 seconds. Occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least I did. Lana. I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. Before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look at me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. It's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana! Even if it involved forging evidence. Uh-oh. See, that's what I'm talking about. No. No! Oh my god, everyone's going insane. Lana's remarks caused such a stir. Because, oh, I'd have to wait until the following day. Accidentally clicked. Dang it. I thought I was close to the end, but there's still so much. Unless it's gonna go straight into the trial, then... It says day 3 investigation. Shoot. Alright, I might have to wait a little bit. Oh my god, another Okay. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. Sorry for what my sister said. It's just the way it is. We did what we had to. In order for him to get the verdict he deserved. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for it. The Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean what happened to you? It's all in there. It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. Well, what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? Tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. So that means you. Yes, I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. There's so much. Let me save again. Okay, actually, I think that's a good place to stop then. Because there's probably gonna be this and then another trial. And I think that's it. I think. I have no idea. I thought I was gonna finish it, but I guess not. I really thought I was close to the end. Alright, so that was a long trial. The whole thing was just the first bit and then the second bit of the trial. And that caused quite a stir. So now I guess we're gonna be taking a look at the SL9 case and getting evidence for that. Trying to solve it. Probably talk to all the people that's on there. Like Angel, Marshall,